Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to another jewelry making video at keepsakecrafts.net. Today we're going to let the beads shine and be the stars of the show and just use a very simple technique to make a really beautiful and elegant necklace. So for today's video, I actually had something very complicated planned, and then it turned out I was totally not in the mood for it. But I had come across on Pinterest a necklace design that was connected with pieces similar to this, and it was a multiple strand necklace. And I went digging through my supplies to see what I had. This is something that was on a card of other charms, and I thought they were perfect. Just these links with some pretty crystal rhinestones and a loop on two sides. And I went and looked to see what I had for beads that I thought would be simple and elegant. Since I recently reorganized my beads and sorted them by type, I realized that I had rose quartz beads in 8mm and 6mm. I actually also have them in a smaller version, but I'm just going to do the 8 and the 6 today. And we're going to do a super simple technique of just connecting them together into beaded strands using simple loops. So what I have here is some antique brass wire. Since the chain and the findings I wanted to use, and these are kind of an antique gold, antique brass look, I thought this wire would be just right. And the best way to do this is just cut yourself a length. Figure somewhere around an inch per bead. But don't cut more than 12 or 15 inches. Cut yourself a nice length of wire. And I have just a piece here that's enough to make a few links. And I'm using my one-step looper because it's awesome. If you want to know more about this tool, you can check out my Friday findings video, which will be linked. And there you go. It makes a loop for you so simply and quickly. If you have a lot of loops to make, this is the tool to use. So I'm just going to flatten that, make sure it's closed. Slide on my bead. So if you have a long piece, like I said, a 12 or 15 inch piece, you just have to do it the same way. You'll just have a little bit more sliding to do, which is why I say don't do it much longer than that. And then you just slide it down to the bead, squeeze, and it makes a loop for you. Isn't that wonderful? And you do that for all of your beads. You can see I have a few here that are already started. Once you've done that, you just go ahead and open up one of the loops, connect it to another one, and then close it securely. I did take a little time with all of my loops, and I went through and made them all face in one direction. It's not a big deal, but it'll hang fine, but it's just kind of a detail where the beaded chain is the focal. It just gives it a nice consistent look to have all of your loops, somehow I missed it on this one, just on the same plane. You can see that. You can see the splits of the tools in the same spot. That also helps harden the wire, giving it that little twist inside the bead. So you do that a whole bunch of times until you have as much beaded chain as you want. So I'll just add this to this piece I have, and here I have about 9 inches of chain. Make sure those are all closed nice and tightly because, of course, that's what's holding your necklace together. For these smaller ones, I decided to do something a little different. Instead of just having a strand with a bunch of them, I've got chain in between them, just little 1/2 inch pieces of chain. You make your bead links the same way, open up the loops, but then you just add the end link of a piece of chain. Again, close up those loops securely. The way I like to work with the chain for something like this, I measure it and count how many links I want. So my 1/2 inch is about 5 links. That's easier than getting out a ruler every time. You can just count. And I like to leave the chain whole in a long piece. It's much easier to manage that way. So you open up one of your bead links, pop on the end of the chain, close it, and then I'll count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that sixth one, I'm not going to try to save it. You could by opening in with pliers, chain nose pliers, but it's so small for me, it's just a sacrificial length. And now you have a length of beaded chain, and so you go ahead and make that as long as you want it to be. I'm going to make mine a little bit shorter than this length. Once that's done, we can join them all together. So I have my 2 chains all made. This one is a little bit shorter than the other one, so it'll hang nicely inside of it. I've separated out these pieces, and it turns out it was a good thing that there were 3 on the chain because they were actually soldered closed. So I ended up having to sacrifice the middle one and snip off the pieces. But I imagine I could find a use for that at some point. So those will get set aside to be used for something else. And I have my favorite oval jump rings here. I love the oval jump rings because the split is on the side. That means nothing is going to accidentally slip through the split. So I'm going to pop on. Now these, you might notice, have the loops going. One is going vertically and one's going horizontally. So you want to just make it consistent in your necklace. It doesn't really matter which way is going which. Just make it consistent. And I'll just pop on the end link of the chain and the last link of my beads. Close it up. Make sure when you do the second side that you don't twist them, but keep it consistent so that this one is on the top. Otherwise it may hang a little bit funny. And check it before you move on. Make sure that you like the way that drapes. It's hard to show it here, but yeah, I like that. And next I'm going to use the same chain that I used in between these. So I'm going to use, let's see, these were 6x9mm oval jump rings. And to connect those, I'm going to use these 3x6mm jump rings. Also ovals. So I hope that you've benefited from and been inspired by my video tutorials. I put a lot of my heart and hard work into them, and I always hope that you enjoy them. And if you have, I hope that you might consider becoming a patron. Patrons not only get the satisfaction of knowing that they're helping to keep these tutorials coming free for everybody, but they also get great rewards like bonus videos, sneak peeks into some of my creations, behind the scenes. Make it as long as you need to make it. I'll probably make mine about 6 inches long. Fasten the other side the same way, add a clasp, and your necklace is done. Now, I always get asked in the comments if where I got certain supplies, and what I want you to know is that for every video tutorial I make, I also write a blog post. There's additional information that I thought of later on. There's always a supply list and links to as many of the products as I can get you links to. Of course, some things have been in my stash for a while, but I'll always try to find you something close. So if you ever are interested in a tool or a supply that I used, instead of asking in the comments, click on the link in the description box or the tag in the upper right of the video, and that will bring you to my blog post where you'll get that information right away instead of having to wait for me to get it back to you. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Take a look at my Patreon page for how you can get great rewards and help support these tutorials. Happy creating. Bye-bye.